Chapter 10, Content Mastery Video. So what are the concepts of marketing research? So some so marketing research, first off, is the symmetric and objective process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information about a market, including its consumers, competitors, and overall industry environment. That is saying is that you're trying to hit all the key things that make marketing important. So when you're gathering that information about, your consumers, you're making sure that you're targeting a demographic that will actually purchase your product. It's the same thing with analyzing. You're analyzing your product and making sure that it's going to hit its target recipients, making sure that they'll buy it. Because if you create a product that is marketed towards a certain demographic that does not want it, or that cannot purchase it, or can't do this or that, then they're not going to buy it. And that's being able to interpret that information about the market. So if the market is very saturated with your product, then that means that it's not going to be bought at a high frequency. So if there's a lot of products that are like yours, it's going to be, you're going to have to stand out. And then that's how you can gather more information. That's how you're going to analyze your product at the same time. You're going to analyze it by looking at, is it better than our competitors? And if it's not, then you have to lower your price. You have to make it so yours appears better than your competitors. You have to look at your consumers, making sure that they can obviously afford it, like I just said, making sure that they actually need it. If it's a product that is a one-time buy or just not as needed in this type of market, then you have to understand, oh, this isn't going to sell well, and you might need to scrap the idea. Same thing with competitors. If there's already someone that has a lockdown on the entire market for that given product, it's probably harder to get into that type of market since that competitor owns it. And also making sure that you understand your competitors, what they are giving and what you're giving. That's, once again, gathering the information, even going out there buying the competitor's product, looking at it and seeing, oh, well, ours is better at this, this, and this, and then making that your key marketing points. Where, Coke and Pepsi have a big feud, even though they're basically selling the same thing, they try to say, that their product is better based off of this given fact, and it's, a lot of things like that. And then the overall industry environment, kind of like how I've already been talking about, making sure that the market isn't overly saturated with your type of product, or making sure that people can actually afford it, given if there's like a recession or, anything of that sort. So the purpose of marketing research is to identify opportunities and threats. So understanding, oh, is there a market for this? Oh, is this not something I should get into because, it's very risky to get into a market that has a lot of these threats. By identifying those threats early, you can say if you want to get into that or not. It can also help spot untapped markets. So looking at things that aren't mass produced or aren't as sought after, can definitely help the market in understanding what it is worth. Understanding consumers, so making sure that that you understand the consumer behavior, seeing the purchasing patterns, their needs, their preferences, if they have any motivations for your product, making sure that there's higher satisfaction and good loyalty within that type of thing. Making sure that that customer is always going to come back to you instead of going on to a competitor. So the significance and importance to marketers, it's definitely significant because it reduces business risk. So whenever you do your research and your due diligence into the product or into the market, you can see if this is risky towards your business or if it's not. You can also see that the customers are centric focused, allowing a product to be more personalized. It can have a more relevant message, and it can be definitely more towards the consumer. And then what is marketing research process? So the process is a symmetric 6-step framework for collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data to make informed business decisions regarding customers, competitors, and the market. So the first one is problem, define, and objectives. So making sure that you define everything. The decision makers. So you're discussing with decision makers. You're reviewing the background data. You're making sure that the problem is clearly stated and is going to be solved in some sort of way. Development of an approach to the problem. So making the framework that you're going to be building around to solve the issue at hand. There can be a lot of different ways, research questions, hypothetical situations, hypotheses, just anything like that where you're creating a framework to understand the problem and a way to tackle it. Research design formulation. So that's creating the blueprint or the framework, again, on what you need to do. So that's using the preliminary information to help define problems. It's definitely used to describe market characteristics or functions, different things like that. And then data collection, so looking at surveys, focus groups, interviews, observations, any way you can get real data from people, whether that's going out to like a business show and having a booth where people can come up to you and ask questions, or you go around asking people, oh, have you purchased this product in the past? What was it like? What was the issue with it? Anything of that sort. Data preparation and analysis. So the raw data that you collect is then processed, analyzed, and transformed into actionable insights. So that's like the editing, transcribing, just cleaning up the data to make sure that it's accurate and understandable. So checking for errors, cleaning it, fixing the values if you notice something's wrong, different things like that. And then report preparation and presentation. So that's creating a report, creating data visualizations. So that's like going up in front of people, in front of your boss, and having a slideshow and saying, oh, this is where we're projected in the next quarter if we make this certain change. Or they use the marketing research process so they can give the best presentation that they can, so then everyone benefits.